The chains were cold against Ethan's wrists. He stood in the center of a massive alien hall, bright with golden light and glowing crystals. Hundreds of alien eyes stared at him, eyes full of hate and curiosity. He could feel the weight of their judgment. A voice, sharp and melodic, cut through the silence. "So this is the human they speak of? The one who claims to be a pilot?" The voice belonged to her, the princess. She sat high on a throne carved from black stone, her silver skin glimmering under the lights. Her long hair flowed like molten glass, and her eyes burned bright purple. She was beautiful, yes, but her smile was cruel. Ethan raised his head slowly. His heart pounded, but he did not look away. "You stand on holy ground," she said, her tone mocking. "And yet you speak of flying. Do humans even know what a starship is?" The court erupted in laughter. The sound echoed like thunder. Ethan stayed silent. He had learned long ago words could be weapons, but silence could cut deeper. The princess rose from her throne. Her gown shimmered like liquid metal as she walked toward him. Every step was slow, deliberate. She circled him like predator. "Do you know what lies beneath this palace?" She whispered. Her voice was soft now, but everyone in the hall listened. "The heart of our empire, the sleeping god, the starship Ashara." Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber as the name was spoken. Ethan frowned. "A ship called a god?" He said nothing. The princess smirked. "Your people are simple. You build machines to fight. We worship ours. For 10,000 years, Ashara has rested. None can wake it. Many have tried. All failed. And now you, a human, think you can?" Her laughter was sharp, cruel. The court joined her again. The sound grated in Ethan's ears, but he kept his voice calm. "It's just a ship," he said finally. His words dropped like a stone into a silent lake. The laughter died. All eyes turned to him. The princess blinked, then burst into laughter again. "Just a ship? Foolish human. Ashara is not a tool. It is alive. It chooses who commands it. And you," she stepped closer, her face inches from his. "You are nothing." Ethan held her gaze. His eyes were cold steel. "If it flies," he said slowly, "I'll fly it." The hall fell silent. Whispers ran through the crowd like a storm. The princess's smile faded for a brief moment. Just a moment. Then it returned, sharper than a blade. "Throw him into the pit," she said. Her voice like ice. "Let him rot beside the god he mocks." The guards moved fast. 4 of them seized Ethan by the arms, dragging him toward a massive steel door at the far end of the hall. The princess turned away, her laughter echoing once more. But as Ethan was pulled out, he turned his head. His eyes locked on hers. He spoke in a voice so low that only she could hear. "If it flies, I'll make the stars remember my name." For the first time, the princess did not laugh. She stared at him, her smile frozen. Something in his voice, it was not empty pride, it was a promise. A threat. The steel door slammed shut behind him with a sound like thunder. The court cheered. The princess walked back to her throne, but her hands trembled slightly. Why? She did not know. Deep below, in the silent darkness of the pit, Ethan was dragged into the shadows. He looked up and saw it. The god. The starship Hera. It towered. Over him, black as night, covered in alien runes glowing faintly in the dark. Its shape was not like any ship he had ever seen. It looked alive, like a creature curled in eternal sleep. The guards shoved him to the ground. One of them sneered. "Pray to it, human. Maybe it will forgive your arrogance." Ethan pushed himself up slowly, eyes fixed on the ship. He smiled faintly. "I don't pray to machines," he said. "I fly them." The guards laughed and left him alone. The heavy doors closed, leaving him in darkness with the god-ship. Ethan took a deep breath. The air smelled of metal and time. He walked closer, his chains rattling softly. Every instinct screamed at him to stop, but he did in single quotes T. He reached out his hand. His fingers brushed the cold surface of the alien hull. And then a flicker of light ran across the runes. Soft, faint, a real. Ethan froze. His heart slammed in his chest. The ship was awake. Asterisk. The voice came like a whisper through the dark. It wasn't sound. It was inside his head. You are not of them. Ethan jerked back, heart hammering. His eyes swept the cavern, searching for a speaker, but there was no one. Just the massive shape of the starship looming above him like a black mountain, glowing faintly with strange symbols. He swallowed hard. Am I going crazy? The voice spoke again, calm and cold. You woke me. Ethan froze. His breath hitched. This wasn't madness. This was real. The ship was speaking. Who are you? He whispered aloud, his voice trembling despite himself. The answer was like a deep hum in his skull. I am Ishara, the eternal vessel, the god of stars. Ethan let out a shaky laugh. A god? No. It's an AI, a super-intelligent system. That's all. But his instincts told him this was something far beyond any machine he'd known. You are not Zarithian, Ishara said. You are different. Why do you wake me? Ethan took a slow breath. Because I need a way out of here, he said quietly. And because someone has to stop what's coming. The lights across the hull pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. The ship was listening. Scene shift. Above the cavern, the royal palace buzzed with chaos. The princess paced her chamber, her silver gown trailing like liquid light. Her laughter was gone now. Her mind replayed Ethan's words. If it flies, I'll fly it. Why did those words disturb her? He was just a human, fragile, mortal, nothing like the Zarithians. And yet, something in his voice carried weight. Your Highness, a guard spoke. Nervously from the doorway. The ship, there are signs. Energy spikes. Movement. Lyra's eyes widened. For centuries, the god ship had slept, silent as stone. Nothing, not even their greatest scientists, could wake it. And now, a human was inside. Take me to the viewing chamber, she ordered. Her tone was calm, but her pulse raced back in the pit. Ethan ran his hands along the smooth alien surface. The symbols glowed brighter with each touch, as if the ship responded to him. Chains clinked around his wrists, but he ignored them. If you are a god, Ethan muttered, then you know everything. You know why I'm here. I know, the voice replied. Your world burns. Your kind dies. You seek power to fight. Ethan's jaw tightened. Memories flashed Earth under siege, skies burning with enemy fire, faces he couldn't save. Yes, he whispered. I need a chance. I need you. For a long moment, silence. Then, one soul may command me. But command is not given. It is earned. The floor trembled beneath his feet. Metal vines, alive and glowing, slithered from the hull and coiled around his chains. They didn't pull, they dissolved the metal like it was smoke. Ethan stared, wide-eyed. Trial begins, the voice said. The cavern lit up in a blinding flash. Symbols blazed, turning the darkness into a storm of light above the surface. The palace shook violently. Cracks split the marble floor. Crystals shattered from the ceiling. Alarms screamed in the viewing chamber. Princess Lyra clutched the edge of a console. On the screens, the cavern below glowed like a newborn star. The ship her people's god was stirring. Impossible, a counselor gasped. He touched it how? Lyra's voice was a whisper. He woke it. Back below, the air burned hot around. Ethan. His knees buckled as waves of energy slammed into him. It wasn't pain, not exactly. It was like being drowned in knowledge, pulled through memories that weren't his. Images flashed before his eyes, stars dying, empires falling, endless war across galaxies. He saw Zarethians worshipping this ship like a god. He saw countless others who had tried to command it, all turning to ash. You are not like them, Ishara's voice thundered. But you are weak, fragile. Try me, Ethan growled through gritted teeth. The light grew blinding. His feet left the ground. Chains gone, body suspended in a web of glowing threads, Ethan felt. The ship digging into his mind, reading every thought, every secret, every scar. You carry fire, the voice murmured, softer now. And grief, you are chaos. But you may be worthy. Then everything went black. Ethan's eyes snapped open, and there was no ground beneath him. He floated in an endless black void, weightless, breath caught in his throat. Stars shimmered far away, scattered like diamonds in ink. The chains were gone. The cavern was gone. Even his body felt strange, lighter, sharper, as if it wasn't fully his anymore. Then the whisper returned. You are inside me now. Ethan spun in the dark. The voice didn't come from one direction. It came from everywhere, like the void itself spoke. Ishara, he said slowly. What is this? Connection, the voice replied, calm and cold. Your? Mine touched my core. Now I see you. The darkness shifted. Shapes formed, glowing threads stretching into infinity, weaving like rivers of light. Each thread pulsed with colors he had no name for. This is your brain? Ethan asked, awe creeping into his voice. Asterisk. This is my soul, Ishara said. And soon, it will judge yours. Scene break. Above the surface, chaos boiled. In the viewing chamber, Princess Lyra stood frozen before the screens. The pit was no longer just a cavern, it was a storm of light. Runes flared like burning suns. The ground shook as if the planet itself was afraid. Report, Lyra snapped, her voice sharp. The ship's systems are active. Energy rising beyond safe measure, a technician stammered. If it releases that power, it could vaporize the palace. Lyra's pulse thundered. How is this possible? No Zarethian, not even her ancestors, could wake the godship. And yet, the human fragile, arrogant, had done it in minutes. Her fingers clenched the edge of the console. Who are you, human? Back inside the void, the blackness around Ethan rippled. Memories spilled like water, his memories. He saw his childhood on Earth, training as a pilot. The day the sky burned red with alien fire. Friends dying. Cities falling. Stop! Ethan shouted, panic twisting his gut. Get out of my head. You invited me, Ishara replied. The voice softened, almost curious now. Pain shapes you. Loss drives you. But is that strength or weakness? Ethan clenched his fists. You want to know if I can lead you? Then listen. I don't care about your games. I don't want your throne. I want a chance to fight back. I want my people to live. The glowing threads pulsed brighter, throbbing like a heartbeat. For a moment, the vast silence stretched. Then, interesting, the ship whispered. Others begged for glory, power. You ask for survival. Ethan took a shaky breath. So what now? Now? You walk the bridge, Ishara said. The darkness shattered. Ethan fell hard onto a smooth metallic floor. He gasped, dragging in air that tasted faintly of ozone. Slowly, he looked up. And froze. He was inside a chamber unlike anything he'd ever seen. It pulsed with light, like living veins running across the walls. Floating symbols glimmered in the air, shifting in patterns that made his head ache. At the center was a chair, a throne of black metal and firelight. Pilot's cradle. The voice murmured. The seat of command. If you take it, you are mine. Ethan stared at the throne. It seemed to hum with energy, heat rolling off it like a heartbeat. Every instinct screamed danger. But another voice inside him, his own voice, whispered, "This is the only way? And if I don't?" he asked quietly. "Then I sleep again," Ishara replied. "And your bones turn to dust with your world." Ethan stepped forward. The floor beneath him rippled as if alive, glowing with each step. His fingers brushed. The armrest smooth as glass, yet warm like skin. "Last question," Ethan said softly. "Why me?" The answer came like a breath of wind through stars. "Because you are not afraid to burn." Ethan lowered himself into the cradle. The metal closed around him like an embrace. And then pain. White-hot agony ripped through his body as tendrils of light speared into his skin, his spine, his mind. His scream echoed through the chamber, swallowed by the endless hum of the awakening god dot above the palace. The ground split. Towers cracked. People screamed as the planet's surface trembled. The god ship was waking, truly waking for the first time in 10,000 years. Lyra clutched the console, eyes wide with terror and awe. Through the storm of energy, she saw him, the human sitting in the god's cradle, glowing like a star. Whisper was almost a prayer. "What are you becoming?" The throne room collapsed in a storm of fire and light, and the princess was the first to fall. Screams tore through the palace as the floor split apart. Marble shattered like glass, and crystal. Pillars crashed to the ground. Lyra clutched the arm of her throne, but the slab ripped free and tumbled into the abyss. She fell with it, her silver gown whipping in the wind. "No!" She gasped as her body plunged into darkness. For the first time in her life, the alien princess felt fear, not for her crown, not for her pride, but for her life. The cavern below roared with energy. The god ship stirred like a beast unchained, glowing brighter than the sun. Lyra hit hard against a platform of black metal, pain ripping through her leg. She cried out, trying to move only to realize her ankle was twisted, maybe broken. Above her, dust and fire rained down. And then dash footsteps. Ethan appeared through the smoke. His body was drenched in sweat, glowing faintly where the ship's tendrils had touched him. His eyes burned with a strange light, human yet something more. He staggered toward her, chains gone, every movement heavy with exhaustion. Lyra stared at him in shock. This human, he survived the god's trial? Ethan knelt beside her. "You okay?" His voice was rough, but steady. She blinked, her pride screaming at her to reject his help. Yet when the ceiling groaned and a massive slab of stone broke free above them, her voice cracked. "No, I can't move." The rock fell. Ethan moved. In a blur, his arms wrapped around her, pulling her close as he rolled across the platform. The slab smashed where she had lain, shattering into burning shards. For a heartbeat, there was only silence, his heartbeat against her chest, the heat of his body shielding hers. Lyra looked up, her violet eyes wide. You saved me." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Don't thank me yet. We're not out of this." The chamber groaned. The god ship Ishara was rising, tearing the earth apart as it broke its prison. Metal vines writhed across the walls, glowing veins of light crawling like living fire. Platforms shattered, plunging into bottomless darkness. Ethan pulled Lyra to her feet, supporting her weight. Her leg buckled, and she hissed in pain. "You can't walk on this," he said. Without another word, he swept her into his arms. Lyra stiffened, outrage flashing in her eyes. "Unhand me, human. I am a princess?" Ethan cut in, leaping across a collapsing bridge. Congratulations. Right now, you're also dead weight. Her cheeks burned. No one, not even her generals, had spoken to her like that. Yet, when the bridge behind them fell into fire, she clung to him without protest. They reached a ledge near the ship's core, a pulsing heart of energy. The heat was intense, like standing inside a star. Lyra gazed at the cradle behind them, where Ethan had sat minutes ago. She swallowed hard. You bonded with it, didn't you? Ethan didn't answer. His eyes flicked to the throne, and back to her. It's alive, and it's angry. We need to move. The ground shook violently. Metal tendrils lashed out, striking like serpents. Ethan ducked, rolling behind a shattered column with Lyra in his arms. A deep voice thundered from everywhere. At once, who commands me? Lyra trembled. She had heard legends of this voice as a child. Priests said it spoke only to kings. But now, it spoke as if the human owned its soul. You woke it, she whispered, staring at him. Her tone held no mockery, now only fear. You woke a god. Ethan's expression hardened. It's not a god. It's a weapon. And right now, it's deciding if we deserve to live. Lyra shivered. At the calm in his voice, this wasn't arrogance. This was something colder. Sharper human determination forged in fire. The cavern erupted in a shockwave of light. The ledge cracked beneath their feet. Ethan tightened his grip and jumped onto a rising platform of black metal one that moved like it had a mind of its own. It carried them toward the ship's glowing core. Lyra clutched his shoulder, staring as the entire ship unfolded like a blooming flower, wings of molten steel stretching into infinity. Her people had worshipped this thing for 10,000 years. And now, a single human stood at its heart, commanding it with nothing but will. You are not afraid, she whispered, her voice trembling. Why? Ethan looked down at her, eyes burning with alien fire. His answer was soft, yet it shook her to the bone. Because fear doesn't win wars. The sky split open as enemy warships descended like black blades, and the god ship roared for blood. The cavern's roof blew apart in a blast of molten stone and burning light. Dust and fire rained down as the heavens opened, a sky filled with steel monsters, war engines blotting out the stars. The enemy had come. Ethan stood on the living platform with Lyra in his arms, the storm of light behind him, the future of two worlds before him. He set her down gently against a pillar of glowing metal. Her voice shook. Those ships. They're not Zarethian. Ethan's jaw tightened. No, they're worse. High above, the enemy fleet spread across the sky, cannons glowing with death. They had followed Ethan's signal. They had come for the god. Lyra's eyes widened. They'll destroy everything. Ethan turned to her, calm but fierce. Not if I get there first. The voice thundered again, shaking the air. One mind, one soul. Take the throne, or I'll die. Ethan looked at the cradle, the pilot's seat of Ashara. It pulsed like a heart of fire, tendrils coiling and twitching as if hungry for him. He remembered the pain from before. This time, it would be worse. He glanced back at Lyra. Her face was pale, her violet eyes full of something strange, not pride, not hatred. Something close to fear and respect. Don't, she whispered. If you fail, it will kill you, and us, and everything. Ethan gave a faint smile. If I don't, we're dead anyway. He walked to the cradle. Every step felt heavier, like gravity itself was fighting him. The platform shook as enemy fire slammed into the planet above, chunks of rock crashing like meteors. Ethan reached the throne and placed his hand on the armrest. Heat burned through his skin like molten metal. He clenched his teeth, forcing himself down into the seat. The black metal closed around him like the jaws of a beast. Then the agony began. Tendrils of light speared into his spine, his arms, his skull. His scream tore through the chamber as energy ripped through his veins, rewriting his flesh, his mind. Memories flashed his childhood, his first flight, Earth, burning in alien fire. He saw everything he had lost. Everyone. "You are fragile," the voice said, cold and merciless. "You will break, then break me." Ethan roared, blood running from his nose, his body convulsing under the storm of power. "But I won't stop." Light exploded from his chest, ripping through his clothes, searing his skin with glowing veins of silver fire. His eyes burned like twin suns. "He survives," the voice whispered, almost surprised. Then he commands. The cavern shattered as the god ship rose. Mountains cracked, oceans boiled. Cities trembled as Eshara tore free from its prison, rising like a steel phoenix into the burning sky. Its wings unfurled, vast as continents, glowing with rivers of alien fire. Above, the enemy fleet opened fire. Thousands of beams lanced downward, slamming into the ship's black hull. But Eshara did not fall. It screamed a sound like the wrath of a dying star, and the air burned. Inside the cradle, Ethan's mind stretched across infinity. He no longer felt human. He felt everything. Every sensor, every gun, every reactor of the godship pulsed in his veins. The stars were no longer far, they were inside him. "Your will is mine," the voice said softly. "Your rage is fire. Strike." Ethan looked up at the enemy fleet through 1,000 eyes. His lips curled into a grim smile. Let's show them why they should fear humans. On the ledge, Lyra could only watch. The man she had mocked, the fragile creature she had called nothing now, sat at the heart of her people's god, glowing like a burning angel. She felt her breath catch. For the first time in her life, she knelt not in fear, but in awe. "What are you becoming?" she whispered. The first shot came from above. A warship fired a beam strong enough to carve a moon in half. It slammed into Ishara's hull and vanished like a spark against an ocean dock, and the godship answered. From its wings, from its heart, from every scar of its ancient skin light erupted, blinding, pure, and merciless. A single pulse tore through space, and half the enemy fleet ceased to exist. Gasps and screams echoed in the princess's mind as the sky burned. Her people fell to their knees in the palace above. Across the empire, every screen, every shrine, every priest saw the truth. Their god had awakened, and it obeyed. A human. Asterisk, the sky burned red as the first enemy fleet vanished in silence, only for a second fleet to arrive. The darkness of space tore open like ripped fabric, vomiting out hundreds of warships. They were colossal, black shapes blotting out. The stars, each bristling with weapons, capable of ending worlds. Lyra's breath caught in her throat. From the ledge where she clung to the living platform, she saw them appear one after another, a storm of steel closing in on her world. Her people would have called it the end of days. But at the heart of that storm, something greater stirred. Ease Hera. The godship spread its vast wings of molten metal, glowing veins pulsing with alien fire. Its roar shook the air, a sound so deep and alive that even the mountains trembled. And inside it, Ethan. He was no longer just a man. The cradle had consumed him, fused him with light and steel. Tendrils of energy coiled around his body, piercing skin, binding him to the living core. His eyes burned like suns. His veins glowed with silver fire. Every heartbeat was a thunderclap of power. "Pilot confirmed," Ishara whispered in his mind. "Your will directs my fury. Shall I burn the stars?" Ethan clenched his fists, and 1,000 weapon systems came alive at once. Cannons like black towers. unfolded along the wings, energy swirling in orbs the size of cities. "Let them come," he said, his voice no longer human. It echoed like a storm. "They wanted a god? I'll give them hell." The enemy fired first. Beams of searing plasma ripped across space, slamming into Ashara's hull. Explosions like newborn suns bloomed only, to fade into nothing. The god ship's shields drank the energy like water. "Impact absorbed," Ashara murmured. "Threat minimal." Ethan smiled grimly. "My turn." The god ship moved in an instant. It crossed 1,000 kilometers, blurring like a shadow through light. Its wings unfurled, and reality bent under its speed. With a single thought, Ethan unleashed fire. From Ashara's core, a beam of pure annihilation. Erupted a river of white flame that carved through the void, slicing a dreadnought in half like paper. 2 more exploded as shockwaves tore through their hulls. Lyra watched from the trembling platform, her violet eyes wide with awe and terror. Her voice cracked. He's controlling it by thought." No priest, no king, no emperor in her people's history had ever done this. And yet this human, this fragile creature commanded the god. Her people worshipped for 10,000 years. Her chest tightened with something she didn't want to name. Fear? Wonder? Or respect? Inside the cradle, Ethan's mind stretched across. Infinity. He could feel every pulse of energy, every vibration in the hull. He could sense the enemy ships as clearly as he once felt raindrops on his skin. But with that power came something else pain. Fire burned through his nerves like molten glass. Every second fused him deeper into Ashara. If he let go, even for a breath, it would kill him. "You are strong," the voice purred. "But strength has a cost. You will not survive this union." "Then, let me burn," Ethan growled. His grip tightened on the armrests until sparks burst from his fingers. "But not before I finish them." The second fleet broke. One by one, their warships exploded, torn apart by beams of impossible light. Ethan moved. Like a god of war, striking with surgical fury. He bent the ship to his will, ripping enemy cannons from their hulls, hurling them like spears into other ships. But then, the void shivered. "Warning," Ashara said, and for the first time, the voice sounded tense. "Third Fleet inbound. Massive. They bring a planetary weapon." Ethan's blood ran cold as space rippled and a new horror emerged. A ship so vast it blotted out the stars. A black citadel wrapped in rings of fire, its surface crawling with glowing scars of power. At its core burned a weapon large enough to split a world in half. Lyra's heart stopped when she saw it. "That's not a warship," she whispered. "That's a god killer." Ishara's voice hissed like molten steel. "They forged a beast to slay me. If it fires, this planet dies." Ethan's fists trembled. Sweat and blood dripped down his face, sizzling on the throne's burning metal. His body screamed, every nerve. Raw, but his eyes blazed brighter than ever. "Then we don't let it fire," he said, his voice low and deadly. "Take me closer." "Closer means death," Ashara warned. "Then death it is," Ethan snarled. "Because fear doesn't win wars." The god ship roared, wings tearing through space as it surged toward the coming apocalypse. Asterisk, the enemy's god killer charged, its core glowing like a newborn star as Ashara hurled itself into death. The void burned white as the enemy's superweapon opened its rings, crackling with energy strong enough to split a planet. The glow grew brighter, brighter until it was a second sun in the blackness of space. On the ledge far below, Lyra gripped the railing, her nails cutting into the metal. Her voice broke in a whisper. "He can't stop that. No one can." Yet. Her eyes stayed locked on him, on the human fused to the heart of her people's god. shining like a blade of fire against an endless dark. Inside the cradle, Ethan bled fire. Energy ripped through his body like molten glass. Every nerve screamed. His bones felt like they were melting, his heartbeat a war drum inside his skull. He knew what Ishara had warned him closer means death. And yet, his hands did not leave the controls. Your flesh tears, Ishara hissed in his mind. Your mind. Cracks, why do you not let go? Because I've been broken before, Ethan growled, his voice like gravel and thunder. And I'm still here. You cannot win, the voice whispered. Watch me. Asterisk the god ship roared. Its wings flared like suns, tearing space as it surged toward the enemy colossus. Cannons unfolded from its skin like blooming flowers, each spitting light so bright it burned holes through the void. Beams lashed out, carving. Through warships that tried to block its path, the enemy fleet shattered like glass under a hammer. But the god killer did not slow. Its core pulsed, swallowing entire colors of light as its weapon neared full charge. 30 seconds, Ishara warned. Plenty, Ethan spat, fire dancing in his veins. Lyra's world shook. She clung to the platform as shockwaves tore through the cavern, her eyes fixed on the sky. Her people, her empire, were nothing now compared to what she saw. This wasn't a god. It wasn't a man. It was something more. And for the first time, the proud princess prayed not to her ancestors, not to the godship, but to the human inside it. Please, come back alive, asterisk. The final charge built like a storm. The god-killer's core blazed with the fury of a dying sun. Rings spun faster, collapsing gravity into a single point of annihilation. Space groaned under the weight of its power. If it fired, the planet below and everything on it would vanish. 15 seconds, Ishara said, and now its voice trembled like fear. Give me everything, Ethan whispered, his breath ragged. Everything means your life, the ship hissed. Then, take it, Ethan said, and he smiled a broken, burning smile as his body dissolved into light. Asterisk. The god ship screamed. It wasn't sounded, was the death cry of a star. Its wings split open, unleashing energy beyond imagination. Time itself seemed to tear as Ishara hurled its entire soul into one strike. The beam erupted a river of white fire that burned through reality, slamming into the god-killer's core at the exact moment it tried to fire. The universe went silent, and then detonation. Light consumed the sky. The god-killer tore apart in an explosion so vast it lit up 10 systems. Rings shattered, fragments spinning away like dying moons. Warships vaporized in the blast. Shockwaves rolled like tidal waves of light across the void. At the center of that storm, a single shape stood. Ishara, scarred, smoking, glowing like a dying sun, but alive. And inside the cradle silence. Pilot status? The ship whispered, voice broken. Pilot? No answer. Ethan? For a heartbeat that felt like eternity, there was only static. Then soft, raw, and human came the reply. Still here. Ishara pulsed with light, almost like relief. You burned everything. You should not exist. Guess I didn't get the memo. Ethan muttered, coughing blood but grinning through it. His voice was faint, but his will was iron. Now, let's finish this. On the surface, the sky cleared. The god ship descended through clouds of gold and fire, its massive wings folding like those of a celestial beast. It landed with the weight of a new world. Lyra limped forward as the platform lowered. When the cradle opened, heat and steam poured out. For a terrible moment, she saw nothing. Then Ethan stepped out, burned, bloodied, but alive. He looked at her with tired eyes, and for the first time, Lyra dropped to one knee, not as a princess to a subject, but as someone who had witnessed. Something divine. I mocked you, she whispered, her voice breaking. I called you nothing. Ethan knelt too, forcing a smile. You weren't wrong. She stared at him, her chest tight. What are you now? He looked past her, to the godship glowing behind him like a living star. His voice was soft, almost sad. Something I can't ever stop being. Final twist, above them, Ishara's voice hummed. Pilot, others wake. The stars will burn. Ethan's gaze hardened as he looked up at the endless night, where more shadows began to stir. Then let's make sure they burn for the right reason. Fade out, the end.